The next topic which we have is for the key anti-patterns in the product management and how you can eliminate them in the product management is concerned. So we have with us Harbir Singh, who is an enterprise agile coach and passionate about product and change management researcher. So he's a speaker and organizational change agent and safe. He has a lot of things in his cap where he presented a lot of research papers to the IIM side and some of the international conferences, which you can see on the screen. So I would like to welcome Harbir to present his topic towards in the summit, the product and tech summit. Welcome, Harbir.
Thank you so much, Shiva. I'm just sharing my screen. Give me a moment. I hope my screen is visible. I am also visible and my voice is clear.
Clear.
Perfect. Yes. So thank you so much. Before I begin, I would really want to thank the SS Group, Satish and Sharad both, for providing me this extremely valuable opportunity to speak and with all the prestigious speakers. I think it's a very, very great and wonderful initiative. So I would want to thank everybody, including the facilitators, including the help desk and support staff and everybody. So thank you very, very much for this great opportunity. Moving ahead, I would want to talk about the topic of the product. This is the Product and Tech Summit, and I would be talking about the key anti-patterns in product management and how to eliminate them. So let's start this journey. I have very few slides. This slide has already been talked in the introduction, so I would certainly want to skip this slide. Right. So before we begin with our core topic, I would want to set the context and I would want to make everyone understand why this topic is important to go through and why do we want to care about the anti-patterns. So there are a lot of organizations in the world, be it a physical product-based organizations or software-based organizations, service organizations, and so on and so forth. Not every organization stays in the world, not every organization stays in the business for a long duration of time. There are some tough times for the organizations, there are some easy times for the organizations, the environments to change, the business environments change, the internal circumstances change, and there is a lot of dynamics that keeps on happening in the business world. Now, as a result of that shuffling in the business world, a lot of organizations use that shine which they used to carry for a long time. So, as a result of that, they either go away out of the business, or they go for very less profit, less revenue. The customers complain, there are challenges, and so on. So, bottom line is that they are not able to cope up with the changing circumstances of the business world. It is not only the business world per se, but it is also the manners in which they try to visualize the product that they are developing. This could be a physical product, this could be a software product, a B2B product, or a B2C product, B2C product, and so on and so forth. In general, there could essentially be two different possibilities of why the organizations might not be performing up to the mark. The first one could be that there are some challenges that are executed on the front side of the organization. When I say front side, I mean the external environment, the business environment, business, political, social, technological environment, and so on. For example, there is a war that is going on, there is an economic downturn that is going on, and there is a pandemic that is going on, right? So these things are out of the control of an individual organization. So these are the external factors because of which there is an impact on the overall product execution and rollout and launch and all that. The second dimension could be the internal challenges that the organization faces on regular basis. Now, when I say internal challenges, they include the way they perceive the product, the way they execute, design, develop, test, and release the product, the way they understand the market, the way they interpret the signals which are there in the market, the way they evaluate the markets, the way they evaluate their competitors, the way they foresee their work going down the line and so on, the way they interact with the development team members and all that. So all these factors are the internal factors. So we don't have that data which specifically says that which factors contribute to how much percentage of an organization's success or a failure. But yes, few of the researchers have given us a hint that almost 70% of the organizations fade away as a result of not behaving appropriately on the ground. So from this point onwards, the concept of the anti-patterns arises. Why anti-patterns are really important to understand, evaluate, and take care of, so that the product management team members and the leadership, the middle management, and other respective leaders understand their own behaviors, their own emotions, their own decision-making skills, and they act in the best possible manner. So that is how we link the concept of the anti-patterns with the overall performance, overall success of the organization. So now, since I have connected the challenges that the organizations face with the anti-patterns, I would want to quote a couple of organizations which have failed to survive in the past, whatever be the reasons, but they were not able to cope up with the changing circumstances, be it an external or be it internal. First example I will talk about is the Blockbuster. Blockbuster was a very famous organization from US, and they were in business of selling and renting the CDs for entertainment business. When the Netflix came in the world, the Netflix completely destroyed the Blockbuster organization, and they filed for bankruptcy in next couple of years. Now, how Netflix has taken the market, I think all of us know about Netflix and the way they were. They were very fast to change internally as well as externally. They were very fast to pick up the bottlenecks in the system. They were very fast and alert in understanding what is the market dynamics that is going on, how we want to align internally. Because they can't change the external environment, they can change the external environment by changing internally. So there they have done a great job. Another example could be the BlackBerry. The BlackBerry mobile was very popular once upon a time, and they failed to understand the importance of the touch screen system. They were not able to understand the integration of the touch screen system, whereas the other mobile organizations have done a great job in bringing the mobiles to the market, which were touch phones. So there were no physical buttons that were involved at that time. So people really liked and appreciated how those touch screen mobiles, how easy it is for them to understand, to work in a touch screen based mobiles and smartphones rather than just clicking on very small buttons in the BlackBerry system. So BlackBerry failed to evaluate the changing market, and as a result of that, it failed. Overall, it went down in the market. There are other examples as well. For example, Yahoo is there. Yahoo was taken up by some other organizations. They failed to understand the search approach and so on and so forth. Right? Enron is one other organization which fall flat. Kodak and Konica were very famous for the pictures. We used to have that physical cameras long back in 1990s and early 2000s, I think 1990s only, where we used to click the photo and then we used to take out the reels and then give the reel to a photographer for processing, and they give us the physical pictures. Now that all has gone away for a long time. So Kodak is no more existing here. So these are the few organizations which failed to change. And as a result of that, they went out of the business. So the anti-patterns, how the anti-patterns relate to whatever I have said so far. What do we mean by anti-patterns? How to spot the anti-patterns? How to try to eliminate the anti-patterns? We will talk about these. This is the foundation that I want to lie now. Now we will move ahead to this discussion. So anti-patterns are nothing but the behavioral side of the individual. These are the behaviors or practices that individual shows when they are in the process of interacting with the other fellow employees, when they are in the process of co-shaping the product, right? These are essentially the behavioral traits. These patterns the anti-patterns are the negative behaviors that the individual shows. As a result of that, there is some challenge in the overall product development ecosystem, right? So these patterns essentially result from a poor communication, from misalignment of the goals, from unhealthy team dynamics, from different egos of the people here and there, right? And a lot of these real causes are not shown at the face value. You are not able to spot what is going on inside the brain of the other individual, but you can spot from how he is behaving, right? So if an individual, be it a leader of the organization, be it a reporting manager, be it a colleague, be it a junior, and so on and so forth, if they show the anti-pattern, it impacts not only the overall culture of the organization, it also impacts the career of that individual. And as a result of that, there is a negative impact on the overall product development cycle. So that is the reason we want to understand about the anti-patterns. We want to understand how to spot the anti-patterns. And then we want to identify a few of the possibilities of how to eliminate the anti-patterns. Moving ahead, since we are talking on the backdrop of the product management, it is essential for us to review some of the core product management activities, right? So a product management specific anti-patterns are those anti-patterns which are being displayed by people who are associated with the product management, the product development, overall product development. And as a result of that, there's an impact on either one or the more than one dimension of the overall product development, and so on and so forth. So although the product management itself is a huge area, and we will not be able to touch upon every area, but these are few of the touch points that I have highlighted here. It starts from essentially from the idea generation and conceptualization, where people brainstorm and identify the gaps and challenges, and then they go ahead deep inside and they go for the market research and validation of that idea. You create an MVP, get it validated, get it reviewed by your core customers, right? You segment the market, you understand your competition, you do the strategic analysis, you do the market analysis, and so on. Then you prepare the business case and define the product strategy. Essentially, business case means that you are creating a case for this specific product to be developed, and you are backing your idea with a very solid foundation, the scientific foundation, the empirical foundation. You have that proof that you have collected from the world, which says that if you develop this product, it's a good idea, it will survive in the harsh market. You go ahead with the roadmap and prioritization. Once you have that idea in place, everything, the strategy is in place, you go for the roadmap development and the prioritization. What are the things that you will that this organization will meet? How the tire will meet the how the rubber will meet the road going down the line. That is what we are talking about. roadmap and prioritization. We go ahead with the designing and prototype. We talk about the core development and testing activities. So once these things are done, we talk about the launch and go-to-market, where we involve the sales and the marketing side of the equation. We launch the product, we go for measurement, we go for matrices evaluation, we monitor and go ahead with an iterative approach of the product development. We want to scale the product at point in time. We want to check different matrices, what matrices are there, the customer side matrices, the behavioral matrices, the product side matrices, the technical matrices, the strategic matrices, the DevOps matrices, and so on and so forth. Right? Not all matrices are part of the product at all the times. It depends, it's contextual in nature, where you in the product strategy you define what matrices you will be tracking and what are the logical scientific reasons behind tracking those matrices. Right? We talk about sunsetting or pivoting. Sunsetting or pivoting is really, really important because we want to understand how the product is performing at one point in time, where it is in the product execution, product life cycle, right? Whether it is in the launch, in the initiation state, in the growth state, in the maturity state, in the decline state, and so on and so forth. Right? And based upon the state of that product, we want to take an action, whether we want to go ahead and identify some additional challenges of the customers, or we want to sunset this product and we want to identify a new product for the market. We want to switch the market, we want to switch the geography, so on and so forth. We talk about the customer support and maintenance. We talk about the data analysis and the feedback loops. So these are some of the core dimensions. I would not say that this covers the entire product domain. The product domain is almost kind of infinite in nature, but these are few of the dimensions which are critical in the overall product management system, right? So whenever we talk about the anti-patterns, the behavioral anti-patterns, we need to correlate those behavioral anti-patterns with one or more than one of these dimensions, so that we understand where the negative behavior has happened and where it will impact. Will it impact the idea state? Will it impact the market research state and the roadmap state as well, or more than one states? It gives us that opportunity to become more self-aware, right? And it gives you the scientific validation. Tomorrow you might want to be a consultant and you might want to show them that this is what we are witnessing. And as a result of these behaviors, these are the areas that are getting impacted. And as a result of these areas getting impacted, this is the revenue loss that is happening, or this is the market cap loss that is happening. And things goes in the same way, we might be challenged to exist in next 6 months, next 8 months, next 1 year, and so on and so forth. So you connect the dots, you prepare the story, and you give them the scientific data so that they understand where is the problem and how to support each other to resolve that problem. So why we are talking about the product management dimension, so that we can link with these dimensions with the anti-patterns, and then gradually prepare a case that this is the problem that we are facing, and this is the possible solution, and this is where we need your help as a leader, as a manager, as a colleague, so on and so forth. But this doesn't cover everything. These are some of the dimensions of the product management. Now with this, let's move on and talk about the key anti-patterns, the very specific anti-patterns in product management. The anti-patterns can be shown by any individual. They can be, sometimes they can be intentional, but most of the times they are unintentional. Right? Nobody wants to destroy the overall culture of the organization. Nobody wants to intentionally destroy the overall product of the organization. Almost 90%, 95% of the times it happens unintentionally. And there are some reasons behind that. We will talk about those reasons, the causes and the effects, right? We will try to establish the cause and effect relationship, and we will try to see how eliminating the cause can eliminate the effect. You don't want to eliminate the effect, you want to eliminate the cause. Because cause is causing the effect, as simple as that, right? So we want to talk about some of the key anti-patterns. Now there could be n number of anti-patterns shown by individual at one point in time, but we can't cover every anti-pattern. We just want to cover some top level anti-patterns, and then we might want to cover the reasons of those anti-patterns and how to eliminate those specific anti-patterns. Having said that, that does not mean that these are the only anti-patterns. There could be several anti-patterns at any point in time, but at least we are more aware now. We are more alert now. Our brain is more alert. Our brain is more able to pick up and identify what is going on, right? And we are there to help each other in the organization. That is what the purpose of this discussion is. So with this, let's talk about a few of the examples of the key anti-patterns in the product management side. There could be anti-patterns on the agile development side. There could be anti-patterns in the project management side. There could be anti-patterns in a specific area, for example, how we evaluate AI products, the ML products, right? So anti-patterns are infinite. It's just that we have to be more aware and alert to identify those anti-patterns and stop them then and there, so that they don't interfere in our own behaviors, they don't interfere in the way we behave, and ultimately we work together to bring the success to the organization. So one example could be a feature creep. It's a very famous thing, right? Where product management team wants to add more and more features and functionalities to the product without the real scientific backing. Why do we want to keep on adding the features, right? Is it just because the management has given us that direction? Or is it because the parallel products which are there in the market, the competition is doing that? And that is the reason we are doing it, right? These are few of the reasons because of which we keep on adding the features, but we need to ask the question to ourselves whether it is the right reason to keep on adding more and more features to make it more shiny and more interesting. Is it the right reason? Right? And as a result of adding more and more features, the product becomes more complicated. You lose the touch and shine of the product, you lose the fundamentals of the product, you lose from the point where you have started. So just because you want to do some work, that does not mean that you have to keep on adding the features. Of course, the features are the fundamental dimensions of product development. Features must be added, otherwise how you will create the product. But here we are talking about feature creep, which means you keep on adding the features without any scientific explanation, or you are not connecting the dots. We'll talk about building without validation. Now, product management goes without saying that customer is the boss. Customer or user, whosoever you want to call. In the B2B world, you call customer and user both. In the B2C world, you call essentially the user, right? So customer and user must be at the center of the gravity. But we need to ask this question to ourselves. We might be working in a top product-based company, which is a great thing. But sometimes we lose the touch here and there. Sometimes we go deep inside a technical discussion or a problem that we are facing at that point in time, and we identify the workarounds and so on and so forth, but we miss to identify the customer at the center of the equation. We have to take the user feedback. We have to get this problem validated or this solution validated back to the customer. It starts from the customer, it terminates with the customer, right? We are existing because the customers are existing. Our existence depends upon the successful existence of the customers. It is not the vice versa. It is a one-way relationship. So we don't want to build anything without the real validation, right? And validation has to be very scientific, proper, sequential. It has to be 360 degrees. It is not that you just talk to a one sample or two sample customers for 15 minutes or half an hour Zoom call and you are done with that. No, it does not happen that way. Whatever industry you are working, irrespective of that, you have to take some, logical research methods to validate your product at one point in time. Moving ahead, no clear product strategy because we are now into the core product development. So we might want here and there we are losing our touch with the product strategy. We always need to remember why the product strategy came into existence, because we wanted to understand the how part of the world. What part of the why part of the world comes from the product vision, right? Why do we want to develop this product? The answer of why comes from the product vision side. The answer of how comes from the product strategy. So either your product strategy is old enough, you are not updating the product strategy, or you are moving ahead in a different direction, and your product strategy is not guiding you at this point in time. So whatever you are doing, you have to back up with the scientific data and the reasoning, and always align the product strategy. Any point or any action that the product manager performs or the product team performs or the product leaders performs have to be connected very, very strongly. Connected with what? Connected with the overall organization mission, organization vision, product mission and vision and objectives. And then you gradually move at the ground level, right? Over-reliance on A/B testing. Now, I've written A/B testing, but I does not only mean the A/B testing per se, but any phenomena, any validation method, any prioritization method you want to apply. You don't want to become a fan of a particular concept that, yes, Moscow technique is the best technique. I always use the Moscow technique or any other RICE technique for prioritization, A/B testing and all. These are extremely great concepts, but we don't have to become fan of any individual technique. These techniques are there for you to take the help, but ultimately there is a data at the background which has to be very complete. There has to be a story that needs to come out, a flawless story of how you are developing a piece of code or how you are developing overall feature, or how you want to develop a particular product and how it is satisfying the needs of the customer. What problems you are solving, that is the question that needs to be asked every point in time. And then these are the sideways, these are the support systems that are given to us. There could be n number of prioritization techniques, there could be n number of validation tests, verification tests, there could be n number of research techniques, the quantitative research techniques, the qualitative research techniques, so on and so forth. All this is outstanding. All this is good and great. But where are you heading? That is the question. For what you have started, whether you are achieving this goal, is this goal still relevant? Are you on track? Are you really solving the problem of the customer with which you started few months back or few years back? These are the questions that your product manager and you need to ask yourself every point in time. Chasing the shiny objects. We are very much, these days we are conscious with how the world is going on, with the incoming of the AI and ML, with the incoming of the new technology trends, new business trends, right? A lot of industries are shifting these days. And this is a valid reason to change the product. But again, to what level you want to run behind those things. In that hustle and bustle, please don't forget your customer. Because we are existing because our customers are existing. It's a harsh reality. I tell this to my teams that please write it in a Word document that we are existing because our customers are existing, and take a printout of this one pager and then put it in your desk. If you're coming to office, just put it in your desk so that you always read this one line every day of your work and then you align your behavior, you align the way you work on day by day basis. Because in the daily, hustle and bustle and daily problems and issues and all those things, we tend to forget the bigger picture. Right? So we don't want to chase the shiny objects. Of course, these are important. We are not asking them to get neglected, but these are very important. Feature-based roadmaps. Right? We have the roadmaps. Sometimes the roadmaps becomes the anti-pattern. Sometimes we focus too much on the roadmaps. Right? All these elements are extremely important, but we have to see and validate at what point in time we want to pivot on it. Right? So feature-based roadmaps are also good, but we need to understand how this is impacting the overall product, how it is impacting the problem that the customer is facing, which problem we are trying to solve. We talk about the silo teams. We talk about silo teams a lot in what we call as the agile world, right? This is also a very solid anti-pattern where everybody has something in the mind and everybody is working in silos. People are not sharing the ideas, people are not communicating well, and all those things are happening. As a result of that, there are multiple sub-products that are developed, and the overall product is now at a very bad shape. Because which feature is now coming and how this feature is related to this feature and how the overall product is solving the problem. It's really a confused thing, right? So we need to come up and shake the hands with each other. We need to understand and empathize not only with the customers, but with our team members as well. Neglecting the technical debt. The tech debt is a monster. It's a hidden monster, right? It doesn't come in the forefront. So people don't care about it. It's just like COVID-19. Nobody has seen the COVID-19. How does it look like? But it impacts a lot, right? So it is just like COVID-19, where you people can argue, where is COVID-19? I have never seen that monster. So in the same way, you never see the tech debt, but it is there. It is there in the system for sure. The only thing is that you need to ensure that you are complying, you are eliminating, you are always on the top of your game as far as eliminating the tech debt is concerned. Right? So don't neglect the possibility of having the tech debt. Tech debt is always there. It's just that you have to act on time to resolve the tech debt which is there. The lack of matrices. As we have talked that there are several matrices out there. Sometimes, the product team takes a specific matrices. Why? Because the customers are also taking the competition is also looking at the same matrices, or our leadership team has told to look at these matrices, right? So that may not be the right answer to identify the matrices. You need to identify the matrices depending upon several criteria, such as what problem we are trying to solve for the customer, how the customer will become happy, how that problem will be solved, right? Then you want to categorize your matrices at the product level, at the org level, at the behavioral level, at the change management level, at the technology level. You create NPS, CSAT, you create that funnel level matrices, the R framework comes into picture. A lot of these things are there to help us out. We talk about the specific matrices, we talk about the vanity matrices, we talk about the North Star matrices, and all these things are there. But we need to identify which set of matrices are important for our product at this point in time. The matrices also keeps on changing. So we need to see whether few matrices that we used to track 6 months back, are those matrices really relevant today? Or do we want to eliminate or pause them for a moment and then try to add more important matrices as per the current circumstances? Right? Because things are changing. So you have to change. Your concepts will remain same, your fundamentals will remain same, but these things must be churned out and churned in always. depending upon what circumstances are going. So these are few of the matrices, these are few of the anti-patterns that we have talked. Now let's talk about the root causes of those matrices and how to eliminate these anti-patterns. The first and foremost root cause that comes to our mind is the lack of clarity. Everybody is not clear, everybody is not on the same page. People have some understanding here and there about what they are doing, what they are supposed to do, but that is not coming as a story in front of us. Right? It is coming as a broken dots. It is not a complete piece of cake. It is a broken cake here and there. So everybody in the product development team should be there in the same page as far as the product vision is concerned, strategy is concerned, product objective is concerned, the strategic decision making is concerned, tactical decision making is concerned, and so on and so forth. Everybody should know what is going on at what point in time and why it is going on and how it is impacting or it will impact the problem that you are trying to solve for the customer.
Harbir, we have another 5 minutes to conclude so that the audience can ask questions.
I'll try to wrap up.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. We talk about the pressure to deliver the quickly. Pressures will always be there, right? Because it's a part of it's a culture. So we need to understand how we want to deal with the pressures. Right? So identify what pressures are there, identify the situation, come up in the meetings, talk to the leaders and identify and get their buy-in to resolve those pressures. There are inadequate resources. This is also the harsh reality. The inadequate resources will always be there because there are multiple products and multiple projects which are competing in nature, right? So the leadership is the core fundamental where we need to focus. The leadership must be aligned at any point in time because things start pouring from the top. If the top is aligned, the bottom will definitely be aligned in the right way. That is how we want to eliminate few of the anti-patterns. The fear of risk, right? We have to take the risk. We all know that how risk is important. We do the risk mapping, we do the risk analysis, we do the risk probability, this and that. All this is all good and fine. But we don't have to, we have to be calculative about taking the risk. And we have to come up, we have to take the support from everywhere. It should not happen in the bits and pieces. Lack of user centricity. We talk about that the user must be there at the center of gravity. The problem that you are trying to resolve for the user must be there at the center of the gravity. And this thing will fall in place if that is happening. Right? Ineffective communication. We talked about the silo teams. Communication is must. I always emphasize that you over communicate. You over communicate. Don't assume anything that the other person is having 20 years or 30 years or 15 years of experience. This is a common thing. Nothing is common in this world. You have to be very upfront. You have to be very open. Talk about your mind. Get it validated from others. Get the assumptions. You have to validate others' assumptions. The others will validate your assumptions. Together, you will develop a meaningful product. Confirmation bias. This is the preconceived idea or notion that we are taking. No, this is the fundamental. That is what I have read in the books. So this must be true. Right? Gone are the days where you read the book and then you validate because things are changing. The environment is changing. The world is changing. The business is changing. So don't come with the preconceived notion or idea. Be open with the ideas. Get those ideas validated. Listen to others. Talk to others. And then this is how you come up with the overall development. Resistance to change is a huge topic in itself, right? Sometimes there are some natural anti-pattern, the cause of the anti-pattern. So there are some scientific techniques on how do you want to approach to resolve the resistance to change. You might want to connect with the coaches, the agile coaches, the product coaches, the managers, the senior leadership, coach them, consult them, do the workshops. There are a lot of change management workshops that are there. Right? Inadequate data. Collect the data in the right format, right shape, and then do the analysis properly so that you are in the right direction. Finally, I want to conclude this in another 2 minutes, right? So what all we have studied? We have studied the needs of looking at the anti-patterns, why anti-patterns are important, how they will impact the overall product development. We talked about the actual anti-patterns, and then we talked about the causes of those anti-patterns. We talked about some of the product dimensions that we can link those anti-patterns with the product dimensions and so on. So there is a need to identify and recognize that anti-patterns do exist. It is a reality. Let's accept it. Point number one. Point number two, what we can do about it. We can train and educate all the relevant stakeholders about the anti-patterns, causes, and impacts. You have to over-communicate, but with very politeness. Right? Don't bring harshness. Be very polite, down to earth. Communicate with the data so that others also understand. Involve the relevant stakeholders. Always involvement of the leadership, middle management, architects, senior leaders is really important. Involve the other departments, involve the sales department, marketing department, customer support department, customer success department, so on and so forth. All these are there to help out. And let everyone be self-aware. Self-awareness is also very critical. It's a very qualitative term in nature, but it is very important where you are self-aware, how you behave, how you react to a particular situation. You are mindful. If you are mindful, you are self-aware, you know that this is your weakness, and just try to pull yourself back. And you listen to others. You give the feedback to others. You take the feedback from others. And that is how you work in the organizational setup. So this is how I conclude the overall discussion. Now I am open for any questions.
Thanks, Harbir, for a wonderful session. And I would ask the participant to type in the chat that if they have any questions in related to the product management key anti-patterns. Anyone has any questions? If you can raise a hand also, I will unmute you.
Yeah, Shiva, Rajiv this side. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, you are audible, Rajiv. Yes.
So, Harbir, based on your experiences, what anti-patterns have you noticed during the execution time, right? When the actual delivery, when the development is going on, in those stages, some of the things which you like to highlight, some of those?
Whatever I have talked, all these are related at the execution only. We talk at a very ground level. We talk about day-to-day activities. We talk about at a story level, at a task level, and all those. We tend to forget the customer. We talk about the technology workarounds. We talk about the holidays that the people are taking. We talk about that we are delaying this and that, and story points and this and that, right? So all these are very important. You don't want to eliminate those, but at the same time, you need to keep an eye on for whom you are developing the product. Will that person get satisfied with the feature that we are rolling out? Sometimes the ego clashes comes into picture. Feature A is more important to deliver. No, feature B is more important to deliver. Right? So you have to balance out the equation. You can't make anybody angry, but you have to be more scientific with your approach on why feature A is better to release and why feature B can still hold for a while. If you have that data, bring that data, collect the data from day to day, whatever tool you are taking, whatever meetings you are going through, the daily scrum, the retrospective, the planning, anything and everything, right? The product validation, the customer meetings that you are doing, the finance meetings, the marketing connects that you are doing, bring the data from those meetings and then try to resolve those challenges that are there. But at the execution time, it talks about which story will go first, which story will go next, right? What are the technical workarounds, how the architecture will get aligned properly, right? Do we want to add this feature along with this feature? How will it impact the other things? What is the integration that is going on? How will it impact the integration in the existing product and so on? So all these are valid questions, but you need to approach that scientifically.
Thanks.
Thanks, Raj. We have another question from chat box. If the management is always hurried to launch a product, then what we can do? John is asking this question.
Yes.
It's a very valid question. It's a very valid scenario. It happens. You don't you don't have to react. First step, you don't have to react. Pull yourself back, identify and evaluate the situation. See whether it makes sense, see whether there are resources to get it released, see whether it makes a logical sense to get it released. If there is no question, let it be released. But see what are the parallel things, do some analysis, try to see, collect the data. Nobody can challenge the data in the world. Whatever circumstance you are working, service company, product company, software company, hardware company, plastic company, anything. If you present the data in the right shape, right manner, your leaders will also be very alert. Oh my God, this is the data from my own product. I cannot neglect this data. So always back your reasoning with the solid, concrete data, concrete evidence. This world is moving towards the evidence-based business, where you are collecting the evidences. You are not saying because you are too much, you are enjoying the product world and you are a big fan of this feature. No. If you are a big fan, it does not matter. It is your own thing. But you have the valid data to show, the customer data, the market data, the competition data, the internal data, external data, technological data, environment data, government data. Collect all those data, link those data together, present a beautiful story to the leadership. They will definitely get convinced. As simple as that.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Johnny. We have another question, Harbir. P. Ranjan was asking what kind of a metrics need to be checked at a program level and portfolio level to check the product is going in the right path and need to be engage the customer.
See, thank you for your question. So product and program are there for your own purpose. Product and program are internal to the organization. They don't have to do anything with the customer. The customer wants a great experience with the product. So along with the program and portfolio level matrices, you must follow the customer-centric matrices. We talk about R matrices. This is great example. The funnel matrices, acquisition, activation, referral, revenue, and so on. These are great matrices to start with. You talk about NPS, you talk about CSAT, you conduct the interviews, you collect the surveys from the customers, and then get your product validated. From there, you pull the data and whatever that data, whatever story that data is telling you, based upon that story, you create your program level matrices, you create your portfolio level matrices. Because program and portfolio are internal, they are important. There is an organizing committee, a lot of efforts are going on, program managers are in place, portfolio managers are in place, VPs are in place. So yes, you have to track internal matrices as well, right? But focus must be there from the external matrices, the customer matrices. If once your customer matrices are in place, then based upon those matrices, you create your program level matrices, create your internal matrices, focus on the productivity, don't focus on productivity of the individual, focus on the productivity as a team, as a program, as a portfolio, focus on the value delivery. How this program is delivering value per quarter, per month, how this portfolio is delivering value. Break down the definition of value. What do you mean by value? If I ask 10 people, they will give me 10 answers. All those 10 could be correct. But that does not mean that I will cater all those 10 definitions of value. I have to create one definition of value and get everybody's fine. So create that definition of value, and then based upon that definition, design and develop the matrices at the program level and portfolio level. But the customer has to be at the center of the gravity.
Hope that answers your question, Ranjan. Thanks. And is there any other questions you have, guys? Anyone wants to ask a last question? Okay. Looks like we are good. Thank you so much, Harbir. As a part of delivering the session with SS Agile Gurus, I'll take the screen share presentation right now from you, and I would like to give you the token of appreciation that in terms of delivering the session towards towards the anti-patterns anti-patterns in the product management. So we really appreciate the time spent, and it is enormously valuable. In fact, the anti-patterns in the product management, it is not covered in a 45 minutes of session.
Yes.
So thank you so much for the session. And guys, we would be going towards 15 minutes of break right now. But before that, I would like to present the NGO slides again, where you can see, what are all the sessions we are conducting, and you can contribute uh, towards the thing as part of a token of appreciation towards Agile Gurus, which they brought into these sessions. One is, Vanaspati Vardhan Seva Sadan. I hope you will get all these in your WhatsApp group, but you can scan it and you can, do whatever, token of appreciation you want to donate, and you will get, I think, for some of them, you get 80 by G certification, income tax related. So you can claim that as well. Thank you so much for the session attending, and we have our next speaker. Before presenting the topic, I'm handing it over to either Satish or Sharath to proceed with. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Shiva. Once again, it's a great session from Harbir Singh. It's a broader topic at the same time, it's insightful, right? When we say anti-patterns in product management, there are a lot of things which Harbir already has shared, right? Nowadays, people are moving more towards, product centric. It's long back that people moved from project centric to product centric, but now people are more looking at the customer centric. It's not like we are building some products and pushing onto the customers. It's like what customer actually needs and how it helps to give overall better customer experience, right? So once again, a very great session from Harbir. Thanks, Harbir, for your time and
Thank you,
voluntarily
Sharath.
contributing for this.
Thanks,
Uh,
Sharath and
please-
Satish. You were really great. Thank you so much. It's an honor. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. This I want to hand it out to Gaurav.